Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Panamansu Paripra Jakacharja Ashtotra Satashi Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Vedanta Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kundi Kiri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, Maharaj. Welcome everyone to Thursday night reading of Caitanya Caritamrita with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. Today is Thursday, April 20th, and tonight we are reading in Adi Leela, 5th chapter, the glories of Lord Nityananda Balaram. I think we start tonight with text number 118. Is that correct, Maharaj?
118.
118, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Tulsi Priya, and thank you, Mahesh Pandit. And thank you to all. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 1 second. Now we're good. Sahasra Vistirna Jar Anar Mandala Suryajini Manigana Gore Chalama. His thousands of extended hoods are adorned with dazzling jewels surpassing the sun. This is Anantashesh. Panchashat Koti Yojan Pitivi Vishtar Jar Ekapone Rahe Sarshapa Akar. The universes, which measure 500 million yojanas in diameter, the universe rests on one of his hoods, which is like a mustard seed. Purport. The Lord of Swetadeep expands himself as Sheshanag, who sustains all the planets upon his innumerable hoods. These huge global spheres are compared to grains of mustard resting on the spiritual hoods of Sheshanag. The scientist's law of gravity is a partial explanation of Lord Sankarshan's energy. The name Sankarshan has an etymological relationship to the idea of gravity. There's a reference to Sheshanag in Srimad Bhagavatam 5:17-21, where it is said, Yamahurasya stitijanma samyamam shibir vihinam yamanantam rishayaha naveda siddhartam iva kvachit stitam hu mandalam murta sahasratamashu. O my Lord, the hymns of the Vedas proclaim that you are the effective cause for the creation, maintenance, and destruction. But in fact, You are transcendental to all limitations and are therefore known as unlimited. On your thousands of hoods rest the innumerable global spheres, like the grains of mustard, so insignificant, like grains of mustard, so insignificant that you have no perception of their weight. The Bhagavatam further says, 525.2, Yas yedam kshiti mandalam bhagavato nantamurte sahasra shirasa ekasmaneva shirshani Riyamanam Siddhartha Eva Lakshate. Lord Anantadev has thousands of hoods. Each sustains a global sphere that appears like a grain of mustard. Om Jnana Timirantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Tadhati Shapadantikam Ande Hang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrasatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lulita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Bodhi Priye Vancha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is describing the glories of Lord Balaram or Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and one portion of Lord Nityananda Prabhu is the Sheshanag, and therefore Kaviraj Goswami is describing the glories of Lord Sheshanag. Just to give us some perspective as to size, the Lord Sheshanag is so great that our entire universe, which appears to us practically unlimited, rests on one of his hoods like a mustard seed, a small seed, so insignificant that he practically doesn't feel it. The Prabhupada speaks of the law of gravity as being the energy of Lord Sankarshan. Karshan means attracting or pulling. Sankarshan pulling completely or attracting completely. I didn't look to see what the dictionary says. Let's see. Yes. Yeah, Karshana, pulling, dragging. So, and Sankarshan, completely or fully pulling, exerting force. So the law of gravity, Prabhupada said, is partial. The scientists attempt to partially explain the energy of Lord Sankarshan. And that last quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam is in prose because sometimes in the fifth canto, the texts are prose rather than verse. Okay, any comments or questions? Veta anantashesh bhakta avatar Isharer seva bina nahi janear. That Anantashesh is the devotee incarnation of Godhead. He knows nothing but service to Lord Krishna. Purport Srila Jiva Goswami in his Krishna Sandarbha has described Sheshanaga as follows. Sri Anantadev has thousands of faces and is fully independent, always ready to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He waits upon him constantly. Sankarshan is the first expansion of Vasudev, and because he appears by his own will, he is called Swarat, fully independent. He is therefore infinite and transcendental to all limits of time and space. He himself appears as the thousand-headed Shesha. In the Skanda Purana, in the Ayodhya Mahatmya chapter, the demigod Indra requested Lord Shesha, who was standing before him as Lakshman, please go to your eternal abode, Vishnu Loka, where your expansion, Shesha, with his serpentine hoods, is also present. After thus dispatching Lakshman to the regions of Patala, Lord Indra returned to his abode. This quotation indicates that the Sankarshan of the quadruple form descends with Lord Ram as Lakshman. When Lord Ram disappears, Shesha again separates himself from the personality of Lakshman. Shesha then returns to his own abode in the Patala regions, and Lakshman returns to his abode in Vaikuntha. The Laghu Bhagavatamrita gives the following description. The Sankarshan of the second group of quadruple forms appears as Ram, taking with him Shesha, who bears the global spheres. There are two features of Shesha. One is the bearer of the globes, and the other is the bedstead servitor. the Shesha who bears the globes is a potent incarnation of Sankarsana, and therefore he is sometimes also called Sankarsana. The bedstead feature of Shesha always presents himself as an eternal servitor of the Lord. So here we have Lord Sankarsana, Sheshanag, in unlimited features. According to Laghu Bhagavatamrita, there are actually two forms of Shesha, one holding the globes of the universe, the other acting as the bedstead of Lord Vishnu. All of this can get a little, can get daunting, just because of the extent of the glories of Lord Shesha. Yes, Lucy Priya.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, count me daunted. I was wondering about this line here where it says, after thus dispatching Lakshmana, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the place now.
After thus dispatching Lakshman to the regions of Patala.
Yeah, it's two sentences below that. When Lord Ram disappears, Shesha again separates himself from the personality of Lakshmana. And that confuses me a little bit because it sounds like there's two separate, are they two separate entities, but it's the same person, but just manifesting the personality of Lakshmana. Is that what I'm supposed to take it?
We get the same description when Krishna appears. We hear that all the incarnations merge with Krishna. We hear that Vasudeva, for example, we hear that Vasudeva is merged in Krishna, that Krishna dances with the gopis, but Vasudeva kills the demons.
Mm-hmm.
And when Krishna leaves for Hastinapur, for Mathura, okay, then it's Vasudeva who crosses the border, and Krishna stays in Vrindavan. And Prabhupada speaks of the Vasudeva portion of Lord Krishna. Similarly, in our worship of the deity, we hear that we're actually worshiping the Lakshmi Narayan portion of Radha Krishna. So this concept is there, this understanding is there of Krishna as having various, as not only being the source of various incarnations, but including various incarnations within himself. So when we come to Lord Ram, we have a similar circumstance, or similar circumstance, where where Sankarsana and Lord Sheshanag are included within Lakshman. And so when the Lord descends as Lakshman, Shesha and Sankarsana appear within him. And when Lakshman leaves, then these portions are separated. Prabhupada gives the example that, of course, this is in regard to the energies of the Lord. Maybe I won't give that example. Is that all right?
Thank you. Yes. Maybe you can disregard this question if you like. It's just sort of incidental, but I was just wondering if we're supposed to be worshiping Krishna in the temple as Lakshmi Narayan, is it totally proper that we have sometimes we see like the very elaborate Vraj mood theme set up on the altar, and sometimes Radharani is dressed up like a cowherd boy and all of that kind of stuff. If we're supposed to be worshiping in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan, is it
yes,
typical?
It's proper. This is part of the tradition of worship of Radha and Krishna. Krishna's always carrying his flute. It's not that because we say we're worshiping the Lakshmi Narayan portion, Krishna can't have his flute. He has to have Shankar Chakra Gada Padma. He's Krishna, but he's worshipped with the respectful mood with which we approach Lakshmi Narayan. So even if we dress Krishna informally or in his cowherd feature, we don't embrace Krishna as the cowherd boys might embrace Krishna, or as the gopis might embrace Krishna. We're not able to approach the Lord that way. We don't lie down in the temple as a devotee on the Uttama Bhakti platform might do. We're advised to worship the Lord respectfully.
So it's more to do with the worshipper's mood than how Krishna is manifesting on the altar.
Yes.
Thank you.
Both things were there. Even the worshippers are seeing Krishna, but they're serving him according to the means prescribed for Lakshmi Narayan with great awe and reverence.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? One more swallow of this. Sahasra Bharane Kore Krishna Gunagan Nivavadhi Gunagan Anta Nahipan. With his thousands of mouths, he sings the glories of Lord Krishna. But although he always sings in that way, he does not find an end to the qualities of the Lord. We hear that Lord Shesha, since time immemorial, has been glorifying Krishna with his thousands of mouths, but he never comes to the end of the glories of the Lord, and he never repeats himself. There's endless Krishna Katha, endless glories of Krishna. And so the Lord Shesha goes on and on, glorifying the Lord with no end in sight. So, yeah. Shronakari Bhagavata Shune Jar Mukhe Bhagavanir Guna Kohe Bhashe Prema Shuke. The four Kumaras hear Srimad Bhagavatam from his lips, and they in turn repeat it in the transcendental bliss of the love of Godhead. Is that fourth canto? Seems to me that in fourth canto this is described, although I could be wrong. Kotra Paruka Shaya Upadhana Bhoshana Aram Avasha Yagya Shutra Singhasan. He serves Lord Krishna, assuming all the following forms: umbrella, slippers, bedding, pillow, gardens, resting chair, residence, sacred thread, and throne. Is our volume okay, by the way? Okay. So these are all forms. When we see Lord Shesha bearing Lord Vishnu on his, by taking the form of a serpent bed, Lord Shesha is serving not only as the bed, but also the umbrella, the slippers, the pillow, the Yagya Sutra, sacred thread, Singhasana, everything. Okay. Eta Murti Bhed Kori Krishna Seva Kore, Krishna Sheshata, Pa Sheshanam Tore. He is thus called Lord Shesha, where he has attained the ultimate end of servitude to Krishna. He takes many forms for the service of Krishna, and thus he serves the Lord. Sheshata means the ultimate end. So the author is giving this meaning for Shesha. He's attained the ultimate end of service to Krishna. Okay. Anything else here? Sheta Anantajar Kohi Eka Kala Ena Prabhu Nityananda Ke Jane Tar Kela. That person of whom Lord Ananta is a Kala, or part of a plenary part, is Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who therefore can know the pastimes of Lord Nityananda. Esha Brahmane Jani Nityananda Tattvasima Tahake Ananta Kohi Ki Tar Mahima. From these conclusions, we can know the limit of the truth of Lord Nityananda. But what glory is there in calling him Ananta? Atava Bhaktir Bhakya Mani Satya Kori Shakala Shambhave Tate Jate Avatari. But I accept it as the truth because it has been said by devotees. Since he is the source of all incarnations, everything is possible in him. Essentially, the author is saying Lord Nityananda is greater than Lord Shesha because he includes Lord Shesha. So if we just say that Nityananda Prabhu is Lord Shesha, from our point of view, we may say, well, that's really, now you're really giving high glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu by calling him Shesha. And the author says, no, that's just part of Nityananda Prabhu's glories. Shesha is one of his partial expansions. Avatari abhed ye jani urve yoiche Krishna ke keha kahu korimani. They know that there's no difference between the incarnation and the source of all incarnations. Previously, Lord Krishna was regarded in the light of different principles by different people. So Krishna, sort of speaking further to this point mentioned earlier, Krishna is Lakshmi, is Narayan, Krishna is Ram, Krishna is Vasudev, Krishna is Sankarshan, Krishna is all of these things because all the forms are non-different from him. Similarly, when we speak of Nityananda Prabhu or Lord Balaram, he's also Sankarshan, he's also Shesha, he's also all of these forms, because the avatar and the avatari are non-different. So Krishna can be addressed all these ways, or Ram or Lakshman can be addressed all these ways. And Lord Nityananda Prabhu can be addressed in all these ways. Anything? Keho kohe Krishna Sakshat Nara Narayan Keho kohe Krishna hoy Sakshat Bhaman. Some say that Krishna was directly Lord Narayan. Some called him Lord Vamadev incarnate. Keho kahe Krishna Kshiro Shai Avatar Ashambhav Nahe Shacha Vachon Shavar. Some called Lord Krishna an incarnation of Lord Kshirodakshay. All these names are true. Nothing is impossible. Krishna Jabe Avatare Sarvangsha Ashroye Sarvangsha Ashi Tabe Krishnete Miloy. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, appears, he is the shelter of all plenary parts. Thus, at that time, all his plenary portions join in him. Ye ye rupe jani she taha kohe shakala shambhave krishne kichu mitya nahe. In whatever form one knows the Lord, one speaks of him in that way. In this, there's no falsity, since everything is possible in Krishna. Purport. In this connection, we may mention an incident that took place between two of our sannyasis while we were preaching the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in Hyderabad. One of them stated that Hare Ram refers to Sri Balaram, and the other protested that Hare Ram means Lord Ram. Ultimately, the controversy came to me, and I gave the decision that if someone says that the Ram in Hare Ram is Lord Ramchandra, and someone else says that the Ram in Hare Ram is Sri Balaram, both are correct because there's no difference between Sri Balaram and Lord Ram. Here in Sri Chaitanya Caritamrita, we find that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has stated the same conclusion. Ye ye rupe jane she taha kohe shakala shambhave krishne kichu mitya nahe. If someone calls Lord Ramchandra by the vibration Hare Ram, understanding it to mean, O Lord Ramchandra, he's quite right. Similarly, if someone says that Hare Ram means, O Sri Balaram, he is also right. Those who are aware of the Vishnu Tattva do not fight over all these details. In the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami has explained Krishna's being both Kshirodakshay Vishnu and Narayan in the spiritual sky, and expanding in the quadruple forms known as Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradumna, and Aniruddha. He has refuted the idea that Krishna is an incarnation of Narayan. Some devotees think that Narayan is the original personality of Godhead and that Krishna is an incarnation. Even Shankaracharya, in his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, has accepted Narayan as the transcendental personality of Godhead, who appeared as Krishna, the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. Therefore, this matter may be difficult to understand, but the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, headed by Rupa Goswami, has established the principle of the Bhagavad Gita that everything emanates from Krishna, who says in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava, I am the original source of everything. Everything includes Narayan. Therefore, Rupa Goswami, in his Laghu Bhagavatamrita, has established that Krishna, not Narayan, is the original personality of Godhead. In this connection, he has quoted a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3:2:15 that states, Shashanta Rupesh Vitarai Shrukayar Abhyarjyamanesh Manukam Pitatma Paravaresho Mahad Angsha Yukto Yajo Pijato Bhagavan Yatagnihi. When pure devotees of the Lord, like Vasudeva, are greatly disturbed by dangerous demons like Kanksha, Lord Krishna joins with all his pastime expansions, such as the Lord of Vaikuntha, and although unborn, becomes manifest, just as fire becomes manifest by the friction of Arani wood. Arani wood is used to ignite a sacrificial fire without matches or any other flame. Just as fire appears from Arani wood, the Supreme Lord appears when there's friction between devotees and non-devotees. When Krishna appears, he appears in full, including within himself all his expansions, such as Narayan, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. Krishna is always integrated with his other incarnations, like Nrsingadev, Varaha, Vamana, Naranarayan, Hayagriva, and Ajita. In Vrindavan, Lord Krishna sometimes exhibits the functions of such incarnations. In the Brahmanda Purana, it is said, the same personality of Godhead who is known in Vaikuntha as the four-handed Narayan, the friend of all living entities, and in the milk ocean as the Lord of Svetadweep, and who is the best of all Purushas, appeared as the son of Nanda. In a fire, there are many sparks of different dimensions. Some of them are very big and some are small. The small sparks are compared to the living entities, and the large sparks are compared to the Vishnu expansions of Lord Krishna. All the incarnations emanate from Krishna, and after the end of their pastimes, they again merge with Krishna. Therefore, in the various Puranas, Krishna is described sometimes as Narayan, sometimes as Kshirodakshay Vishnu, sometimes as Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and sometimes as Vaikuntanath, the Lord of Vaikuntha. Because Krishna is always full, Mool Sankarshan is in Krishna. And since all incarnations are manifested from Mool Sankarshan, the original Sankarshan, it should be understood that he can manifest different incarnations by his supreme will, even in the presence of Krishna. Great sages have therefore glorified the Lord by different names. Thus, when the original person, the source of all incarnations, is sometimes described as an incarnation, there's no discrepancy. This is also found elsewhere. Srila Kaviraj Goswami dismisses the controversy. Is Krishna the source of Narayan? Is Narayan the source of Krishna? He just puts it aside as being less important because Krishna is absolute. All the forms are non-different. And yet here also we find that Srila Rupa Goswami and others have gone into the matter and have provided evidence that Krishna is the source of all other forms. Krishna is to Bhagavan Swami. So all of these positions are possible. So we don't need to fight with those who are devotees of Lord Ramchandra, devotees of Lakshmi Narayan, devotees of any of the Vishnu forms, devotees of Lord Ram. They're all absolute, they're all the same personality of Godhead. I remember we were in New York one time, someone was questioning Srila Prabhupada about this, and he had me turn to that portion of Chaitanya Charitamrita, not this one, but the other one where it's even more, what's the word, liberal or ecumenical in accepting that, all right, some call him Narayan, some call him Vishnu, some call him Ram, some call him Krishna. We're all right with any of these positions, just as Prabhupada that Hari Rama can mean Balaram, Hari Ram can mean Lord Ramchandra, Hari Ram can mean Krishna. So all of these understandings are accommodated. Any other comments or questions here? Okay. Vateva Sri Krishna Chaitanya Goshai Sharva Avatar Lila Kori Shabhar Shabhare Tekai. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has exhibited to everyone all the pastimes of all the various incarnations. We find that sometimes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu assumed the form of Raha. In that Mahaprakash, he appeared in different forms. E Rupe Nityananda Ananta Prakash She Bhave Kohe Muni Chaitanya Dash. Thus, Lord Nityananda has unlimited incarnations. In transcendental emotion, he calls himself a servant of Lord Chaitanya. Kabu Guru, Kabu Shaka, Kabu Pritya Lila, Urbe Yena Teen Pave, Braje Koila Kela. Sometimes he serves Lord Chaitanya as his guru, sometimes as his friend, sometimes as his servant, just as Lord Balaram played with Lord Krishna in these three different moods in Braja. We see this in friendship, that sometimes there are different moods. Someone takes the superior position, or that same person takes the subordinate position. A friendship is not static. Vrisha ha Krishna Shane Mata Mati Ran Kabu Krishna Kore Dar Pada Sangvahan. Playing like a bull, Lord Balaram fights with Krishna head to head. And sometimes Lord Krishna massages the feet of Lord Balaram. Yes, Supriya.
Maharaj, I just wondered, nothing's immediately coming to mind, but I was thinking about the relationship that Arjuna had with Krishna. And after the Kurukshetra war and seeing the universal form and accepting Krishna as a guru, I mean, he always had maybe a reverent attitude towards Krishna on some level, but it seems like, would a relationship like that change permanently after what he'd experienced?
Well, we find in the Bhagavad Gita in the 11th chapter that let's see. Saketi Madhva Pasapam Yaduktam Hey Krishna Hey Yadava Hey Saketi Ajanata Mahimanam Tavedam Maya Pramadat Pranayena Vapi Yachavaha Sartam Asatkritosi Vihara Shayasana Bhojaneshu Ekota Vapi Chuta Tatsamaksham Tatkshamaye Tvam Aprameyam. The Arjuna requests forgiveness. Oh, unlimited Lord, please forgive me. Sometimes I addressed you as Krishna, Yadava, buddy, really. Oh, my friend. We express that in English, buddy. We were buddies. It's just totally equal friends. Sometimes we were lying together, sometimes eating together. Sometimes I insulted you, as friends playfully do. So please forgive all these things that I may have done, all these things I may have said out of madness or out of love. So that relationship was expressed. But at another time, Arjuna, Shishas Teham Shadimam Tam Prapannam. And now I surrender to you, I accept you as my guru. But then later, after the Kurukshetra war, you find that again, the friendly relationship asserts itself. Not that Arjuna is always in the mood of trembling and standing before the universal form with fear and reverence. At different times, Krishna manifests different aspects of his personality, and the devotee responds differently. Now, we hear that Prabhin has put something up.
I just copied it in the bottom.
Oh, I found it. He's quoting, thus from the original person, the source of all incarnations, is sometimes described as an incarnation. There's no discrepancy. How is this concluded? The only point proved is that Lord Krishna is the source of all. If Krishna is considered an incarnation, how is there no discrepancy? Well, we find Advaita Machuta Manadi Mananta Rupam. All the forms are really the same personality of Godhead. So whether he appears as Krishna, he appears as Narayan, it's the same personality of Godhead appearing in different aspects. So, yes, the same personality of Godhead appearing in different aspects. So if he's addressed by one name or another name, or even we find that, let me just think if that's where I wanted to go. Sometimes even the demigods, or some demigod is addressed as if he were the Lord. And in those portions in Bhagavatam, it's understood that demigod, that the glories are meant for Krishna, but they're being offered to that particular demigod. And that's accepted in the sense that the demigod is Krishna's agent. So offering prayers to the demigod is as good as offering prayers to Krishna in that context. So we accept Krishna as the original source, or we address Krishna as an incarnation. In the section on retrieving the sons of the Brahman, we find that Mahavishnu addresses Krishna and Arjuna as Nara and Narayan. I very much wanted to see you. You're Nara Narayan, you've descended on earth. So all of these things are possible in Krishna. He's the source, or he can be addressed. What would you say? with the characteristics of any of his expansions. And okay. And there was something down the bottom. I scrolled up. Let's scroll down. Okay. Oh, there's Murai Gupta. I've heard it said that 1,000 names of Vishnu equal one name of Ram, 3 names of Ram, 1 name of Krishna. How to understand this in the context of the equality between the different forms of Vishnu Tattva. Yeah, these things are there. On one side, there's no difference. And on the other side, well, 3 names of Ram equal 1 name of Krishna. 1,000 names of Narayan equal 1 name of Ram. So both things are true, as Kaviraj has said, Kaviraj Goswami has said above, that all these different understandings of the devotees are accepted. I don't know to what extent that answers the question. I hope it helps. Any other thoughts or comments?
Maharaj,
Mm-hmm.
what you were saying before about that they're all Krishna, but it seems that these different qualities or different forms manifest, and I'm probably saying the obvious here, in the context of how he's being worshipped. You know, like when you have sunlight is sunlight. If you filter it, you know, if it passes through blue glass or red glass, then it appears to be a different color, but it's still the sunlight. So it seems that these different forms are reciprocations with the devotees. Yeah. But it's the vision of the devotees that brings out that certain quality or not represses, but you know, other qualities maybe are less prominent in those different forms based on the desire or the worship of the devotee, correct?
Yeah, it's stated elsewhere in Bhagavatam that you appear in the hearts of the devotees in eternal forms in which they worship you. In the wrestling arena of Kamsa, and Krishna appeared in different ways to different people according to the way in which they saw him. Yayata mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamya. So yes, Krishna reciprocates. You want to see me as the source of all incarnations? I'm the source of all incarnations. You want to see me as Lord Ramchandra? I'm Lord Ramchandra. All of these things are possible.
Thank you.
Someone's a policeman, so the thieves see him as a dangerous person. The citizens see him as their protector. His family members see him as their father or husband or friend. All of these relationships are still there. And it's not that he's not any of these things. He's all of these things. Prabhupada gave the example. And Prabhupada has given that verse that you tad vapu pranayase sadhanu grahaya. You appear to the devotees in the particular form in which they worship you. Prabhupada gave the example that one time his son was sort of crawling on him as a child. And one of Prabhupada's godbrothers joked with the boy that, oh, you're putting your feet on the body of a great Vaishnav. And the boy responded, he's not a Vaishnav, he's my father. So both things are possible. Okay, we're at the end of our time, and we can have a little more kirtan.
Pancho Tattva Prabhu. Okay. Guess he's not available. I'll begin then. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Purnamansa Paripajikacharya Ashtotra Satashri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Jayādvaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Shraddha Devi.
Thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. Please share those class links in the chat box with your friends. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow for Srimad Bhagavatam class with Jayādvaita Swami. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Jayādvaita Maharaj ki jai.
Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Haridas
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Meena Devi Ki Jai. Hari Hari.